Hey, hey, hey. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Leadership Mojo. I'm Rebecca Simon Peter, and I'm really excited to talk with you today about Leadership Mojo. Here's the thing. I've been thinking about what Jesus had to say about let your yes be yes. Actually, he said, let your no be no, and your yes be yes. And he's really clear about the power of our words. I think this is so critically important for us as spiritual leaders because we know that our words have to have power. We're preachers, we're prayers, we're teachers, we're organizers, we write emails, we do Facebook Lives. We want our word to have power. And Jesus said, let your no be no and let your yes be yes, because he understood the power of the word. And he also understood the power of giving your word to something you don't even know if you can really keep. I always go back to Genesis and I think about how God spoke the creation into being, and that we are made in the image and likeness of God, which means that we have that same capacity to speak things into being. And so being really intentional stewards of our word is so darn important because we're creating all the time. Uh, I'm going to do this ministry. I'm going to do that mission trip. I'm going to preach this sermon. We're going to help these people, those people. When we say things that we don't actually fulfill on, our energies get caught up in those words and they are not free to be used in new ways. For years, I had a half-finished knitting project on the top of my closet. I was going to finish this beautiful sweater for my mom. I wasn't. I never finished it. And all my energy, all my hopes, all my dreams were tied up in that knitting project that sat at the top of my closet. Finally, I had to just say, you know what? I said I was going to do it. I'm not doing it. I threw the knitting project away. It was terrible. I hated it. It was gorgeous yarn. And yet I was freed up because I couldn't live into that yes. So there are times that we do live into our yeses. There are times we do live into the no. And then there are times that we don't. Even so, we're still called to give our word to something. And as leaders, we're called to give our word to something even bigger than ourselves, bigger than we can imagine. Because on the one hand, while we're tending the yeses and the nos, and we're doing what we have given our word to, and setting a good example for our people, because they're not going to rise higher generally than we are. And if we're not fulfilling on what we said we would do, they're not going to feel as compelled to do that themselves. So while we're managing our word, right, and the yeses and the nos, at the same time, Jesus calls us to stretch ourselves way beyond what we know we can do, way beyond what we think we can do, into the realm of the impossible, into the realm of the miraculous, into the realm of, my God, I don't know how I'm going to accomplish this. I always think about Peter, as I said last time, swinging his leg over the side of the boat. Jesus said, yeah, come on out here. Peter said, if it's you, Lord, call me to you and I will come. And he did it. I think about how when the disciples/apostles said to Jesus, look, there's a lot of hungry people here. Don't you think we should send them back into town so they can go get some food? And Jesus said, no, you feed them. He asks us to give our word to things we do not know that we can do, that we don't know how to do. He took those people that he called to be disciples and he trained them up and he taught them the stuff he knew how to do. And then he sent them forth as apostles so that they could cast out demons, proclaim the kingdom, and rid people of spirits that were dark and unhelpful, and heal the sick. That's what he called them to do. I wonder if when they were being sent out, if they thought, I don't know if I'm ready for this yet. I don't know if I really know how to do this. If it was me, I'm sure I would have thought that, like, okay, I remember how he did it. And I remember doing it with him. And I remember sort of having him there and we kind of worked it out together. And I remember feeling the presence of God, but I don't know if I can do this when I'm out there on my own. And yet here we are, leaders, apostles, sent forward out into community, sent to lead groups of people and thinking, now I remember what they said in seminary, and I remember how it was at the last church, and I remember when I worked with the associate pastor, and I remember when I was with these other people, but can I do it on my own? And yet somehow Jesus calls us out there, out in the wilderness, out in the wild, to do that sort of stuff. How do you do it? How do you live into that really big yes when you've been used to tending your yeses and nos very carefully to make sure you can do and accomplish what you said you would do? How do you live into something that's so big and so scary that you don't really know if you can do it? I think the first thing to remember is that we're not in it alone, that we're actually in partnership with God, and we have to be in partnership with God, that we can't do it by ourselves. So, first off, we're not in it by ourselves, we're not in it alone, we're in partnership with God. But secondly, that we're in partnership with each other. Okay. There's times that I think, okay, I'm just going to figure out in my head and I'm just going to figure it out and I'm going to like sort of know what to do. And what happens then? Usually I get stuck or I get stopped because I can't quite figure out how to do it all by myself. And so when I say that we work together, we work in partnership. In creating a culture of renewal, one of the things that we've learned is that when we're going to take on big, bold, Jesus like dreams that are impossible and that scare us and that require the partnership of God and that move beyond the survival of the institution and that inspire people. Those are the key elements of a Jesus like dream. When we do that, there is no way in heaven or hell that we can do that by ourselves. We just can't, because by definition, it's bigger than we are. We have to have people to help us see beyond our own limits, people to help us accomplish. The apostles did not do their work on their own. Jesus didn't do his work on his own. The apostles did that. And then they didn't do the work by themselves. They partnered up with each other and they had teams of people that they accomplished things with. And so I think we forget that. I think we think, oh, well, if I'm going to, sort of live the Christian life and live the life of a disciple, I got to go do it myself. No, Jesus didn't do the work himself. We can't do the work ourselves. And we also think somehow if I just go, and I got a plan and I work real hard, I'm going to get it all done. No, Jesus took time away in the desert, in the wilderness regularly to reconnect with God, to refill his spirit. And he didn't work nonstop. He didn't go 24/7, and we can't either. So having that partnership with ourselves, our souls, with God, and with the people around us, all of those are really critical to being able to say yes, the big risk. Okay. Now, the other thing is that the answers that I've got in my head aren't necessarily the only answers. Well, in fact, I know they're not the only answers because I've trained myself and been trained by my own people to reach out and to ask for help and to run my ideas past other people so that they could have input and see things that I can't see and give me ideas that I wouldn't have on my own. One example of this recently is that I met with my most senior faculty, and together we're community, and we were working on a big, bold, Jesus like dream. Like, what are we going to do with this process called creating a culture of renewal? To what end will it exist? If we just sort of keep perfecting it and refining it, we're doing the very thing that we say to our people not to do, which is just to sort of build a better mousetrap or have a church improvement plan. We didn't want to have a creating a culture of renewal improvement plan. Not that we're not always refining and upgrading what we do, we are, but that's not our vision. That's not our mission. What are we going to actually accomplish with this beautiful process called creating a culture of renewal? I had an idea and I thought, let's flip the United Methodist Church. Let's have everybody become dreamers, people who can dream like Jesus and are accomplished in doing that. My team said to me, that's not actually the kind of vision that you've taught us how to have. And so my best ideas were challenged by my very own people. And I am so thankful. I am so thankful that I've got folks like that on my team that care enough to speak up and say, no, that's not the big thing. And the big thing that we came up with is that what we're really about, what our deep passion is really about, is empowering people to discover their inner divinity, so that you can co-create miracles with the divine. You can bring the impossible to life. You can dance in the conversation with Jesus. And if we empower people to discover their inner divinity, part of what's going to happen is that by definition, the United Methodist Church will evolve. It will change. It will shift. It will morph from being church improvement plan people who are surviving the present moment and the present moments to people who are empowered to go out into our communities to co-create miracles with the divine. Well, as part of that, we're going to be hosting a celebration of renewal. And that's going to be April 21 to 23, 2022. It's just going to be this big live event in which we're going to be lifting up the miraculous nature, the magical nature of co-creating miracles with God. And as a part of that, we're starting a social media campaign of the miraculous, the magical nature of creating miracles with God. And we're going to be posting dozens and dozens of stories and videos and examples of how people are already creating miracles, because we believe the world needs more miracles. I live in the state of Wyoming, and there was a recent campaign, the world needs more cowboys. Maybe yes, maybe no. But I think the world needs more miracles. I can say that without a shadow of a doubt. The world needs more miracles. So how do we live into those very big yeses? Understand we're not in it by ourselves. You've got God. Partner with God. Partner with your own soul. Move into the deeper parts of your own soul to let the deep inspirations and the deep intuitive thoughts come to you, because God speaks to us within as well as without. And then partner with the people around you. Run your ideas past them. Let them run their ideas past you. Have something bigger than any one person can create come forth from the miraculous nature that's within you, from the inner divinity that's within you. And then let your people guide you. When you've come to the end of your own knowing, your own understanding of what's possible, let your people guide you. Be disciples of one another, be apostles of one another, be apostles of the dream, of the vision that God has given you. Let your no be no. Let your yes be yes. And then when Jesus says, how'd you like to co-create a miracle with me? I invite you to say, all right, I don't know how, God, but I'm definitely going to say yes to this. That's the process I'm in. And I really believe that when I lead, I want to share with you how I'm leading so that you can learn. And I want you to share with me how you're leading so I can learn from you. Together, we're in this process of developing our leadership mojo. So that's the word for today of Leadership Mojo. I invite you to check out our website, RebeccaSimonPeter.com. Make sure you get your free download of the Dare to Dream Like Jesus plan. And then stay tuned to the magic and the miracles that happen when you're co-creating miracles with God. We'll be talking to you soon. Watch for us on social media. God loves you, and so do I. And I'll talk to you real soon. Bye.